What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Lucid, I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what just came out from Lucid, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up 1.82%, 333 the low, 364 the high. So a lot of volatility. At the same time, you are seeing an increase in volume, and that volume is coming from this right here. So Lucid did announce their Q4 production and delivery numbers, and also set the date for their fourth quarter earnings. So a couple of things to note. Historically, they've always done it on January 11th. So of course, with that being on a weekend for this year, logically they would have done it and put it out at the end of this week, if not early next week. The fact that they moved it up clearly shows that they were excited about the results. Couple things. So in Q4, they did produce 3,386 vehicles, delivered 3,099. So very good stuff. 7% were subject to lease accounting. And so again, I think that goes to show maybe why it is kind of pulling back slightly, only because of the increase in this right here. And that's Lucid's only way to essentially get that 7,500 credit. So maybe that's kind of where people are basing the pullback from, possibly. But aside from that, in 2024, they did produce 9,029 vehicles, delivered 10,241. So they did beat their targets by 29 vehicles. Regardless, a beat is a beat. It does show 5% were subject to operating lease accounting. But yeah, honestly, I think that is very good. It's all going to come down to their future guidance, so what they give for 2025. And so I think in general, needs to be roughly around 20,000, but I'll do a dedicated video all about that because I feel like that subject, you can kind of talk on that quite extensively. But aside from that though, they did book their earnings for February the 25th at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. And as of February 11th, you can pose questions to management. So one of the 4 rare opportunities that retail can pose questions. I say this every time, we get disappointing results every time, but retail needs to really compile questions and pose good questions to management. Not just what you're eating for lunch or like when profitability is going to be occurring. A lot of those questions just ignore. So it is what it is. So aside from that though, you see a lot of individuals assuming that this downtrend right here is attributed to shorts. That's not necessarily the case. Right now, shorts are returning 745,000 shares. So they actually do really like the news, and this is why they are is prompting them to return some shares. 23% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 274.01 million shares overall are being shorted. So in general, good stuff. Hopefully Lucid does come out with good targets for 2025 and just good numbers in its entirety, really prompting and discouraging shorts from sticking around and hopefully bringing it back a lot more than that 23%. But it's not shorts. So shorts aren't the culprit why it did go down. Rather, it was institutions. So I think right now institutions it was kind of one of those moments that buy the hype, sell the actual news. I think that happens more common than not with Lucid, but big money regrettably is the culprits on why it is going down. Again, it could be stemming from this right here, the higher than I guess maybe previous quarters lease accounting, even though 7% isn't all that great, like crazy to worry about. But maybe people are concerned over, again, that 7,500 kind of getting knocked off the table. But we'll just have to wait and see. So options, 1.85 million in calls, 222,000 in puts. Factor in the market's only been open roughly an hour and a half, give or take, but 48% of all the options being done so far today are bearish in nature. Of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 350 to 4. You have some pockets of optimism here as well, but consensus majority is roughly around 4. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub 3, even sub 250 for next week. So kind of crazy in regards to that. I don't really understand why people would anticipate it to be sub 250 unless it is linked to maybe some negative data for the rest of this week. So you have unemployment, you have a lot of big things coming out. so maybe it's associated to that. But as of right now, with it at $3.35, it is trading between these 2 points, so this R1 and the pivot. So 323 is that next strong support, and then flip side 347 and then 362 is going to be the next strong kind of target slash resistance. That also could be one attributing factor why Lucid is pulling back, is it did bounce off of this R2, so a very strong resistance level. So kind of just be aware of that. But aside from all of that stuff though, no new analyst ratings, which is kind of weird because Rivian came out with their numbers, which was better than anticipated as well, and they had a rating, a new one, within like 1 hour. Actually, I think even less than that. So analysts, hopefully we get some new ratings, like if we get like a $4 or even a $5 rating, that will really stimulate some buying as well, so really propel it higher. But as far as right now, it looks like today's like sell the news type of scenario. But as of right now, it is pulling back slightly, so still above the ALMA, so that is at $3.14, so I don't anticipate that to be touched right now. So overall, a little bit of consolidation. Looking at stochastic RSI, you see it rather neutral, so it's not overbought, not oversold, so kind of just stuck in limbo. But Lucid's technicals still look fairly good, so just anticipate a continued volatility in the foreseeable future. So it is what it is. I think just some people were going to always sell the news regardless, but with them actually hitting their goal, I think that is a good assumption that then we can kind of move higher from here. And if you have been buying Lucid recently because of, let's say, their future goals or something, with them hitting their goals, that's even more reason to essentially buy Lucid. That's if you were hesitant, I guess, on their operations. But yeah, hitting goals definitely is a good thing. So let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. I must admit that Lucid is definitely a very, very frustrating stock. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Like the fact that Rivian went up as much as it did, like 25% at its peak, when they came in line with their goals, and then Lucid just gets 1.37%. Very frustrating, but I think in general, Lucid is going to kind of move up higher, more align a little bit with their operational, I guess, output for the most part. But until that does happen, you just have to, it's a long-term hold at this stage. But if you kind of take a step back, Lucid has actually done fairly good. So over the last 6 months, up 5.54, and over the last 1 month, up 56.57. So you kind of have to factor that into what is happening right now as well. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Are you satisfied with the results? Are you disappointed? What is your viewpoint on all of that? And do you think because of their upcoming earnings on the 25th, is that going to prompt a squeeze or not? What's your thoughts on that as well? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. Launched it roughly a month and a half ago. Since then, I've already had stocks double, quadruple, so pop over there, take a look at a lot of the buy signals. I do buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto, so definitely worthwhile to take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.